Okay, now we're going to go into more application problems. These problems will all be on worksheets, and so we will be working from worksheets. One of the things we have to do though for these problems is we need to have a foundational understanding of some basic geometric concepts. So we're going to start with those. So first of all, when we look at a triangle, the sum of the angles is equal to 180 degrees. And so, when we have the sum of these angles, we would have the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is equal to 180 degrees. So that's a real important one to know because we use it at all. So the sum of the angles, the interior angles of your triangle are 180 degrees. A 90-degree angle designated by a little square in the corner is called a right angle. And a right angle is 180 degrees. Not 180, is 90 degrees. And if we have two angles in here, angle number 1 and angle number 2, these angles are called complementary angles. And complementary angles also have a sum of 90 degrees. And so, we would say the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 90 degrees. Okay? Another one we're going to look at is a straight angle. And a straight angle has 180 degrees and two angles that make up the sum of two angles that make up 180 degrees are called supplementary angles. So supplementary angles have a sum of 180 degrees. Okay? So that is some angle information that you need to know. What else do we need to know? You need to know what the perimeter is. The perimeter is the distance around. So when you go out and run the track at the high school and you go around that track, you are doing the perimeter of the track. You walk around the block, you're doing the perimeter of that block. So if we look at a triangle, side 1, side 2, side 3, the perimeter of a triangle is equal to the sum of all three sides. The perimeter of a rectangle, we usually call this length and width. The perimeter of my rectangle is W plus L plus W plus L, or I could say 2 times W plus 2 times L. So the perimeter of my rectangle is 2 times W plus 2 times L. So those are some of those perimeter things that you need to know. Okay, so we have the sum of the angles of a triangle are 180. The sum of complementary angles are 90 degrees. The sum of supplementary angles are 180 degrees. The perimeter is the sum of all the sides added up together. So now let's look at some examples of these problems that we have. Okay, example number 1. And this is what it says. 2x plus 4 and 3x plus 16 represent the degree measurements of two complementary angles. Find the actual measure of each angle. Okay, so we have complementary angles. That means that we're looking at a 90-degree angle here and two angles that make that up. One of those angles is represented by 2x plus 4 degrees. The other angle is 3x plus 16 degrees. Now these expressions represent that. So what are we going to do? Well, remember, complementary angles is the sum of these two angles. So we're going to go 2x plus 4 plus 3x plus 16 equals my 90 degrees. Add my like terms and I have 5x. 4 plus 16 is 20, and that's equal to 90. Solve for my x, because I need to know that. And I have 5x is equal to 70. Divide by 5. So x is going to equal 114 degrees. But am I finished? Remember, what is the question? The question is, find the actual measure of each angle. So what I need to know is what is the measure of this angle and what is the measure of this angle. Therefore, I'm going to have to take that 14, put it in for the x, and calculate what that is. 2 times 14 is 28. 28 plus 4 is 32 degrees. So therefore, this angle is a 32-degree angle. 3 times 14 plus 16 is equal to, well, let's see, that's 12, counting my 1, 42 plus 16 is 58 degrees. So this one up here is 58 degrees. So, how do we know it's correct? Remember that the sum of the two angles has to equal 90 degrees. 32 plus 58 is equal to 90 degrees. So therefore, I know I have the correct answers. Okay? So that's the first example of using the geometry stuff that we just looked at to solve equations. Now let's look at another one. And you notice I draw a picture because that helps to visualize what we're doing. The next one says, let x be the degree measure of the smallest angle in a triangle. If one of the other angles measures twice this angle, and if the third angle measures 3 times the smallest angle, find the measure of all 3 angles. So, let's start with the picture. We're going to start with our smallest angle. It says our smallest angle is x degrees. It says one of the other angles is twice as big as that one. So let's call this one 2x degrees. And the third angle is 3 times as big as that smallest one. So there's my 3x degrees. Okay? So all of my angles are now measured. And now we have to remember what we learned about triangles. The sum of the interior angles is equal to 180 degrees. So therefore, we are going to add these up together. X plus 2x plus 3x is equal to 180 degrees. So 6x is equal to 180 degrees. Divide by 6, and x is equal to 30 degrees. But again, what is the question? That's the key. Find the measure of all the angles. Since we have to find the measure of all the angles, it means that my 30 has to go in for each one of these x's. So x is equal to 30 degrees. 2 times 30 is equal to 60 degrees. and 3 times 30 is equal to 90 degrees. Therefore, add them all up, and that equals 180. So we know we have the right answer. Okay, so there are 2 problems that have used your geometry. Now let's look at another one. The next problem is just giving you experience in counting coins, counting money, which is kind of different because not all of us want to do that. I have 12 pennies and 7 nickels, $5 dimes, and 3 quarters. Now, I don't know how much you guys count money. When I was a kid, we did it a lot. I don't see all of you doing it that much. Quarters are worth 25 cents, so 75 cents is what I have here. 5 dimes, dimes are worth 10 cents, so that's 50 cents. Nickels are worth 5 cents, so 5 times 5 is 35 cents. And pennies are worth 1 cent, so 1 times 12 is 12, but it's 0.01 if we're looking at it in decimals. Okay, so now we're going to add that all up. So here's $1.25, $1.50, $1.60, and $1.72. So you're just going to add that stuff up together, and you'll know what your money is. The next one we're going to work in several different ways so that you can see how you can tackle problems from different perspectives. Okay? First way we're going to work this one is with a chart. And it reads this way. I have 50 coins consisting of dimes and quarters. If the total value of my money is $10.70, how many of each coin do I have? Now, I have to look at this problem as nothing more than a learning exercise. And the reason why is because if I had 50 coins, I would just count my money. I wouldn't sit here and do a guesswork problem on it because it doesn't make sense to me. It's much better just to stack your quarters up, count them, stack your dimes up, count them, and you know what you got, okay? So this is not a very real-to-life kind of problem, but we're wanting you to learn how to calculate things when you don't know precise answers from the information given. So my information says I have 50 coins. Part of those coins are dimes, part of those coins are quarters. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a chart. We're going to look at first dimes, and we're going to have quarters. And then you're going to look at how much money you have when you have that many of each. What we're going to base it on is our 50. If I start and say I have 50 dimes, well, 50 dimes times 10 cents is $5. Nowhere near the $10.70 that I need. So therefore, it wouldn't be smart to start with 50, would it? So why don't we kind of go in the middle? Why don't we go with 30 dimes or 20 dimes? If I have 20 dimes, then I'm going to have $2 here. And if I have 20 dimes, that means I have 30 quarters, and 30 times 25 cents will be, let's see, $7 and 50 cents. $7.50 plus $2 is $9.50. And as we can see, that still isn't enough. So now I have to decide, do I want fewer dimes or do I want fewer quarters? Well, if I increase my quarters, I'm going to increase my amount, and I need to increase my amount. So that means my quarters are the ones I'm going to increase. So why don't we jump to 40, and that leaves 10 dimes which is $1, because 10 plus 40 is your 50. And 40 times 25 would be $8? No, that would be $10. Yeah, I should have that off the top of my head. 1/4 of 40 is 10. Okay, 10 plus 1 is $11. So that's a little too much. We need $10.70. So that means we're going to have to increase our dimes, decrease our quarters, but it's not a big difference here, so I'm not going to do a big jump. How about 12 dimes, which is $1.20, and that leaves me with 38 quarters, which is $9.50. $1.20 plus $9.50 is your $10.70. So my answer is I'm going to have 12 dimes and 38 quarters. That's one approach to do to get this problem solved. It's just a guess and see if it works, and then try again and put it in a chart so it makes sense for you. The other way we're going to do this is the algebraic way. Okay. If we do it the algebraic way, what's going to go on here? Well, first of all, I'm going to draw what I call buckets. I like buckets because they make a lot of problems easier. My total is in my last bucket, and that's my $10.70. I'm going to put dimes in my first bucket and quarters in my second bucket. I'm going to let the number of quarters equal X, and the number of dimes is going to be 50 minus X. Remember, that's what we did over here. 20 plus 30 has to equal 50. So if I say I have 20 quarters or 30 quarters, that means 50 minus 30 is how many dimes I have. So we're going to use that principle here. So my number of coins is going to go inside my bucket. And this is going to be 50 minus X, and this one is X. The value of my coin is 10 cents and 25 cents. And you notice I'm using the dollar format on this. And it's because our answer, our final amount, is also in dollars. So we have to have the same kind of value for each one. So now my equation is made up of my value times my number of coins. So 0.10 times 50 minus X plus 0.25X is equal to $10.70. Distributive property, 1/10 of 50 gives 5 minus 0.1X plus 0.25X equals 1070. I'm going to go ahead and change that to 0.10X for you guys. Now combine my like terms, and I have 5 plus 0.15X is equal to $10.70. Subtract my 5, and notice when I subtract that 5, where does it go? It goes underneath the 0 of my 10 because that's the place value. And this gives me a 0.15X is equal to 5.70. Divide by 0.15. And this is going to give me X is equal to 38. So therefore, I have, since X is in my quarters, I have 38 quarters, and 50 minus 38 is 12 dimes. Two different methods to solve the same problem. And as you see, it really doesn't matter which method you use. They both are very effective and they both work well. So you can choose the method you like best. So anyway, that's that one.